Okay, we are on page 32 in the new translation of the Avodas Hashem. In the third parak, it says, "V'leishmar hamitzvos yipachad onesh." You should not keep mitzvos because you're afraid of punishment. Hagam shegoli yadu lefanav, even though you know, Hashem yisrael manish sheino mochel, that Hashem punishes when He doesn't forgive. Moshe Nemar kel kana, Hashem is zealous. Nemar ki lo yinakeh, does not cleanse. Nemar poked avon avos panim, Hashem visits the sins of the fathers on the children. Nemar mishalim l'sonov od kayotze b'zeh. It says Hashem pays his enemies, etc. But even if we say hypothetically, Hashem yisrael yamani shel chas v'sholom gam l'shomaras mitzvosav, even if we would say that Hashem would punish you for keeping mitzvos, which is an astonishing concept, but even like the kakamozi Hashem, but you keep them because they're good, even if you were punished for keeping them because they're the right thing to do. And even it wouldn't punish you if you did averos. Nevertheless, you would not transgress them. This high level of tahara, Madregas of Hashem, is Madrega of those who love Hashem. Anybody who reaches the level, Hashem, the Chazal say about him, he serves Hashem out of love. Antigonus Yisrocho praised this meter when he said, don't be like those who serve the master in order to receive a reward. Like those who serve the master not in order to receive a reward. Ram already explained this. Explains in the prayer both in Mishnah Mishnais and in Mishnah Torah. You should know, this is the level the greatest level which the Torah speaks in its praise. It says, Hashem commands you to do these rules and these judgments. All of your heart and all of your soul. All your heart and your whole mamar. It speaks both about purity and about fortification. Here it says exertion, which is probably a better translation. And it's not better. It's Gemara. It's not possible to reach complete exertion. El b'tara Gemara. It's a fascinating idea. In other words, a person doesn't reach true levels of exertion unless they're doing something they really believe in. And something they really believe in, so it must be out of love about Kodesh Baruch Hu that a person's doing it. Because if a person doesn't have the love about Kodesh Baruch Hu, they're not going to have the willpower in order the intellectual stamina to do the mitzvah properly. It's not just they won't do the mitzvah properly. They won't exert themselves to do the mitzvah. Why would a person ultimately exert themselves to do something which they don't believe in or they don't really experience as being something uplifting, transcendent, and great? So therefore, love of Hashem is connected to experiencing mitzvahs as something profound and uplifting, and therefore one exerts oneself to the utmost of capacity, which one might not otherwise do. Umamish kavayas Hashem kain ora Torah alisamtus just like in the Torah exhorts us Torah to and Avodas Hashem to do it with exertion and with Tara, so to exhort to the in Avodas Hashem. So maybe I was wrong what I said before. It could be that when he says no. I think what he means, I think I was right. Madrega Satara Gemura hi Madrega Ovei Hashem. The complete Tara is the Madrega of Ovei Hashem. But he's saying that this has two ramifications. this level of Tara is what gives a person impetus to do mitzvahs with proper exertion, and it should also lead a person to greater exertion in the thing with which it's connected, which is Avodas Hashem. And right before it said it by the Michukim Mishpatim, and that's Madrega of Tara. Here he's saying that the Madrega of Tara also is mentioned specifically in terms of Avodas Hashem. I'm sorry, the Isamtus and Tara mentioned together was specifically in Avodas Hashem. So it applies across the board. Understand this madrega and perceive it with your mind, and make an effort to get to it. Then Hashem will help you to reach it. Now, the Rav Avram is stressing, understand it and perceive it in your mind, because it's a very high madrega, and you need to have the Dishmaya in order to get there. So we have the two poles so far: Yiras Onesh as a motivation to do mitzvahs, and Avodas Hashem as a motivation to do mitzvahs. What's in the middle? Hamadrega Semtzios. So now the Rambam comes to the things which are more relevant to us. Now let's talk about what's between the two poles. Hakarov el hatzavua, that which is close to hypocrisy. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I apologize. Not for Yerushalayim is the one. The one pole is Yuhara, and the other pole is Avodas Hashem. Yerushalayim is actually in the middle somewhere, just like my dreaders are about to learn. But the one pole, sorry about that. The one pole is Avodas Hashem, and the other pole is Yuhara. Again, these are the extremes. A person does mitzvahs just in order to be haughty and proud of themselves and display arrogance, and then there's a person who does mitzvahs completely for Avodas Hashem. Those are the two poles. Now we're in between. Okay. The person who's on the low madrega is the hypocrite. He does mitzvahs as in order to demonstrate he's a chassid, even though in reality he's nothing near a chassid. So he's ma'ached b'kiyum ha-mitzvos as kavanaso lishmor ha-mitzvos of Yisrael in kavanaso lavik tovas hanam mi'abrios. He's not on the level of just trying to do out of pride, out of arrogance, out of trying to lord it over other people. And he wants to get some benefit from it, from his fellow creatures. Now, kavod is not the same thing as yuara, evidently, according to Rav Avram and Rambam. Yuara means for arrogant self-pride. Kavod just means you like to get honored. This used to be a joke which they used to say in the old days of the early days of the state of Israel, when people weren't getting paid very much for things that they did. It was a period of rationing, called Tsena, and they used to say, from what I've heard, that in Panovich, the Rosh Yeshiva were not getting paid very well. So they said about Panovich that here with their Mekayim in us, harach money for understanding of Chavod. Real Parnasa we don't get, but we get Chavod as the alternative to Parnasa. So some people want to do things for the purpose of getting Chavod. It's a very powerful, attraction. I can testify for myself that it's very often a person does things because they want to get covered. A person can learn Torah, teach Torah, and do all sorts of things, and there is always this Yetzirah, this motivation, which is very, very possible to either not recognize or recognize and nevertheless be motivated by it, which is the Yetzirah of covered. And so he says, so this level, the lowest level off the pole of dying out of gaiva is to get covered chaytzibo. Somebody who learns Torah, so he wants to know what he has to know and what to do. But he also wants to receive honor and glory, etc. Don't make them a crown. Don't make them a crown to show your greatness, and don't make them a plow in order to, or spade, it says here in English, in order to eat from them. So, again, it's not Amanas to Kanter, which is the Madrega of Euro, which is what they do in order to diminish other people, in order to uplift yourself, to diminish them, however it works. But here, it's a person has almost as bad a Madrega, which is to do things because of covet or for, in order to some other self-aggrandizement. That's on one side, towards the pole of Yura. What about on the other side, towards the pole of Tara, of Avodas Hashem? So he says, and this is what I was mistaken maybe before, so if it's close to the pole of Tara, is somebody who does mitzvos out of sincerity, but because of years. So onesh. He does it because he's afraid of the punishment of heaven, not because of the punishment of human beings. Punishment of your beings, that's because of kavod, or not because of your true yira. We talk CPL as chamet to his brach, and conversely, does it for the reward from Hashem. Again, not for honor and glory, because then he's towards the other pole, like we just said. There's a person who works him out of yira. He's not called pure. Because such a person, were he sure, were he secure in other words, we gave him dispensation. We said, you're not going to be punished for anything. He said, conversely, were he to give a perfect reward, he wouldn't do the mitzvahs at all. So it's not intrinsic, it's all extrinsic. Not doing it because he wants to, but because there are consequences. He does not doing his deeds for public display for other people. Now, based on these 4 levels which we've seen, Yuhara, Kavod, Yiras Onesh, and Avodas Hashem. It doesn't break down beautifully and simply into 4 categories. There are many different subcategories along the way, which you can understand on the basis of these broader categories. The primary ones are the ones you just explained. Understand this, to love and be diligent about it. Hashem should guard you from hypocrisy. Amen. And help you to reach the limit of purity. That is the end of the 3rd parak. Now we will begin the 4th parak, which is about Rachmanus. Rachmanus, translated here as compassion. Rachmanus. Now it's interesting because this is the first specific midah Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam gets to. So now I've been dealing in generalities and about motivations and the underlying purpose and all that, but here he starts getting into my specific midos. Rachmanus midos atrumios. Rachmanus is from the most special midos. It's one of the Torah's objectives. It's a matorah of the Torah. People sometimes ask me, what is my evidence that when I say that the Torah is geared to make a person Baal Chesed? This is it, right? It's one of the matorahs of the Torah. I think it's the primary matorah, and I think it's right from the Ram puts it first, but it's certainly Echad matorahs of the Torah. This first trait which is described to Hashem. Kel Rachum. V'od pam chazra Torah zos, the Torah repeats, Kel Rachum Hashem Elokecha. V'anvim amru Kel Chanun Rachum. V'oro HaTorah midat zilozu. Torah ready to aroused us, encouraged us to pursue this noble trait. The Kavod is conscious rabbis, and it gave us many ways preparing ourselves for it. Conversely, it gives us many ways to soften the cruelty of the heart. Anything Hashem commanded in this respect, such as to sustain poor people, and people who are even more impoverished, give back collateral or to security to a poor person. This all prepares the person for Rachmanus. Hashem forbade cruelty. Do not harden your heart. And concerning softening cruelty heart, it says, a poor person's garment is his only covering. It's his dress for his flesh. But you don't get it back to him what he's going to sleep. You said, if I not cry for people who are suffering, in other words, did I not cry for people who are suffering? My soul is in anguish for the impoverished. We don't have to spend a great deal of time talking about this midah and its obligation. It's understood. As I explained in the third part of this sefer, it's one of the lost parts of Avodas Hashem. How the laws, the other parts of the Hamasik are about laws, how to support poor people. And again, he's a lost part of this Masbik. He mentioned Rachmanis of Yosef amongst the lives of other Avos. Of course, we have lost. It could be that Rabbi Abraham does have parts of that in his Sefer Torah, which we do have parts of, but I'm not aware of hand. Uporak no markimida Shumi says you see that this outstanding midah ain't pirusha adam rachlev. We spell Yosemite. It doesn't mean that person should be sensitive and too emotional. When I show movies to my students, and when I preview the movies to students, so if they're sad movies, I really start crying. My students, for some reason nowadays, and I do not cry when they see sad movies. This is part of the emotional blockage which this generation suffers. Could be that maybe it's a thing that applies to teenagers, but it certainly is an issue, which is a major issue because a person does not be spoiled. A person does not aroused emotionally by things which are supposed to make him feel sad or upset or compassion. So there's something lacking in their humanity. But Rabbi Avraham says too much emotion is also not good because it's not true compassion. Because then you're just doing it so the emotion passes. You want to assuage your guilt. You want to get rid of that emotion. It says, that's no good. I didn't write this. Like women and those who are like them in their weakness of soul. Some of them even have rachmanos. Even on the slaughtering of a chicken. Obviously, Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam never came in contact with PETA. As he says, it's silly to have rachmanos on the slaughtering of a chicken. Because that's just the emotional response. It's not a rational response. And compassion is based on the rational knowledge that one should emulate Hashem and become a better human being and emulate divinity in this manner. Not just that a person emotes too easily and he has tear ducts which are too active. Rather, the soul should incline from cruelty to pity, compassion. For akusa lave into soft-heartedness. The important part of Rachmanis is that it's the people who deserve it. It's part of the difference between Chesed and Rachmanis. Also in Kabbalah, Chesed is just giving without a cheshbon. It's not compassion. It's giving. Rachmanis is compassion. There's a catalyst which initiates the process, and you're responding to that. But it says Rabbi Avraham, true Rachmanis is only to a person who is appropriate outlet for compassion. And the suffering or shortcoming is a significant one. Yazor he'll help a person who's falling in a difficulty. And save people who are being cheated from their cheaters. And he will give. He will sustain those who are hungry. And give clothing to the people who are naked. So that's Rachmanos Haruya. Next week in Mirz Hashem, we'll see about Rachmanos She'nena Nechona, who you're supposed to be cruel, or from whom you're supposed to curtail your compassion. Okay, we'll stop here for today. Have a good night and a good Shabbos.